Hey guys, my name is Evelyn, and I became incredibly rich by investing only $1. I won't deny that I was just lucky, however. We don't get so lucky every day, do we? Unfortunately, high money wreathed my head, and because of this, my family and I committed a lot of follies. It all started on a day when my parents told me the terrible news. The money they were saving for college had to be spent on the major repairs of our house. I was not angry with them and had been sympathetic to the situation, but I was still very sad. No one in our family obtained a higher education, so I wanted to make this dream come true and become the first family member who would finally do it. My parents wanted the same, so they saved money while I tried to study hard, but the circumstances interfered with these plans. A year ago, I got very sick. A dangerous parasite was found in my body. The doctors found it in time, but still the consequences could not be avoided. I had to stay in the hospital for several months and then undergo treatment at home so that my body began to work normally. The study was out of the question. Of course, I read textbooks and did my homework when I felt good, but this format of training affected my academic performance very negatively, and I hardly passed the end-of-year exams. The teachers kept saying that such grades leave me very little chance to get a scholarship, but I was not upset because my parents had the money for my education. However, as I have already said, they spent it on major repairs to the house. Our house was old and we inherited it from our grandmother. The roof was leaking in a number of places, electricity worked badly, and there were also terrible drafts around the house. And so it happened that my dream of obtaining a higher education melted away. It was my senior year, but my grades were poor. I missed a huge period of school education, and therefore I could not study as well as my classmates. As for my parents, they did not have money for a tutor. It was a desperate situation because I did not want to seek work in some dive bar or a car wash right after school. Therefore, I decided to take the easy way out and invest in cryptocurrency. I have heard many cool stories from my parents' friends about the possibility to invest only $500 and then earning $10,000. I tried to persuade my parents to take a chance and buy cryptocurrency many times, but they refused, being skeptical about such earnings. I've been thinking a lot about where to invest my savings. The choice was huge, but my sixth sense told me that I had to find something special. And I found it. It was a cryptocurrency that had a cat icon as the brand. Well, that was unusual, original, and very positive choice, and I thought it would be better to invest money on a positive note. But there was a disappointment waiting for me. I had $1,000 in my piggy bank, which I saved for a special occasion. But when I opened it, I found only $1 there. It turned out that my parents took my money without permission, and that made me really mad. They apologized to me and said that they urgently needed to buy spare parts for the car. Well, my plans to get rich quickly failed because it was hardly possible to get so much money by investing only $1. But in any case, it was better than nothing. I took a risk, and not in vain. I didn't really follow the rate of cryptocurrency, but when I did it 2 weeks later, I almost fainted from happiness. It raised by several thousand%, and now I could get $5 million for it. Can you imagine that? I could not even dream of this. When I told my parents about it, they didn't even believe me. But when I showed them this unreal figure on the laptop screen, my mother cried with happiness, and my father could not utter a word. They hugged me and asked how I could make such an amount of money. I told them about investing in cryptocurrency, and they wished they had done it earlier. I didn't wait for the cryptocurrency rate to change and decided to sell it immediately. After receiving the $5 million, I put away some of the money for college, and then I thought long and hard about where to spend the rest of the money. There were a lot of options. I could not stop at only one of them, so I decided to implement all my ideas at once. First of all, I bought a house for my parents to fulfill their dream. They were incredibly pleased with this acquisition. But the surprises for them did not end there, because for my father's birthday, I bought him a new car. Believe me, the greatest happiness is when you see your parents are happy. Though I didn't forget about my own needs either. Finally, I could afford any clothes, the best restaurants and clubs, and the newest gadgets. I spent money without care. My friends and classmates envied me and did not even hide their feelings from me. Well, of course, all this happened because I became rich by investing just $1, while they had never thought about investing and turned out to be losers. At school, I attracted everyone's eyes. Everyone wanted to be friends with me. Also, even the most popular guys of our school began to notice me and ask me to go out with them. But it was clear to me that they did it only because of my money, so I refused everyone. Those losers preferred not to notice me when I was poor, but they all tried to attract my attention after I had money. Did I really have to make friends with such people? No way, that was pathetic. I definitely liked this kind of life, but there were some disadvantages as well. Some envious people started to cross the line. One day, someone stole my wallet with $10,000 in it at school. I planned to spend this money on dental care. Of course, I immediately went to the police. They found the culprit quickly, and it turned out to be my old friend Rachel. Big money made her lose her head. She listened to my stories about money and secretly dreamed of taking possession of it. But the only thing she was capable of stealing was my wallet, and she was not even ashamed. She said that it was a trifle for me, but for her it was a significant amount of money. Of course, after what happened, trust and friendship were out of the question. The next time, my parents were threatened. They were chatty people, so they told everyone at work how their daughter was able to earn $5 million. As soon as their colleagues found out about the money, they began to threaten, blackmail, and behave like louts. The situation reached a point where one of the colleagues dug up dirt on my parents and promised to send it to their boss. In that case, the career of my parents would come to an end. They were so scared that they took my money without permission again and gave it to the blackmailer. But this time it was $1 million. When I found out about this, I was angry. I yelled at them, saying that a blackmailer could make the whole thing up and they were taken in by his scam like fools. The next day, this man left the city and then the country with our money. I couldn't go to the police since my parents gave him $1 million voluntarily. Then I realized that it would be better to invest the remaining amount so that this money would not be lost. I decided to use the proven recipe and invest in different cryptocurrencies again. I spent the whole night looking for something unusual and interesting, and only in the morning I was able to finish my searches. I expected that my investments would increase just like last time, but in a matter of days, the cryptocurrency rates decreased and their value went down. But I wasn't demoralized, hoping for other cryptocurrencies to bring me money. However, a real failure awaited me. None of them managed to net a profit. I lost all my money, and the amount was rather big. I went into hysterics from despair, and I just could not calm down. My parents heard my screams and crying and came to me immediately, but I couldn't even really explain to them what had happened. When I came to my senses, more or less, they found out what had happened. Oh, you should have seen their disappointed faces. Well, of course, they've already gotten used to the luxurious life, and it was hard for them to return to stiff austerity again, and it was so terrible. I looked enviously at girls in brand-name clothes and almost cried when I stood near expensive boutiques. I wanted to buy a Chanel dress or Oscar de la Renta shoes so much, but I could afford only low-quality shoes from a regular store. I didn't even want to touch it. But that was not the worst. My parents got into bad trouble again. When we had a lot of money, they became shopping addicts and ordered a bunch of things from TV. Moreover, they didn't pay for the purchases all at once because the payment had to be made only upon the arrival of the goods. Unfortunately, we didn't have the money to pay for all this junk, and we couldn't return it to the shop because it was against the rules of the sales contract. All these purchases consisted of little things for the house and garden that we didn't need at all. My parents realized this when they saw everything they ordered. Of course, I couldn't leave them in trouble and had to give away some of the money saved for college. Apparently, my dream of getting a higher education will never come true. After that, I harbored a huge grudge against them. They had set me up too many times, but people like them never learn. I am sure that in such a situation, many of you would be very offended as well. I was hot under the collar, and they decided to add fuel to the fire. My parents began to accuse me of losing all my money because of investing in cryptocurrency. One thing led to another, and we had a big fight because of this money, after which we did not speak to each other for several days. But then my parents decided to make up with me and apologize. They said that thanks to me, we had a good house, a car, and a cool life, albeit not for long. They realized that they were guilty towards me and decided to wash away the guilt. My father sold the car and returned all the money he received so that I could go to college and finally fulfill my dream. We realized that we shouldn't fight because of money, especially in light of the fact that it was received in such a simple way. What is cryptocurrency for you? Is it some kind of a lottery or not? Write your opinion in the comments. Also, don't forget to leave a like on the video and share it with your friends.